Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. Deja vu. No. We are back with a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition campaign that is kind of ongoing. Um, this is called Evermore le Masquerade, as you can see here. It takes place in a home brew world of mine called Rostveen. Most particularly in the area of the world that is inspired by the Baroque periods of Spain, France, Venice, and then with a little bit of Orlais from the Dragon Age series kind of sprinkled in. This is session 33, the second course. I'm very excited to be getting back to this. We didn't get to play last month, and then we also played early in December because of the holidays, so it has been a while, and we just finished a dungeon crawl, so I'm really eager to kind of see what is going to happen as part of the aftermath of all of that. But before we do, I'm going to give the same warning that I give on the beginning of all of my games, and that is, if foul language and mature subject matters are a problem for you, then this is not a good time for you. This is not a good place for you to spend time. Particularly this campaign, while there will never be explicit sex, we're going to get about as close as we can, because that is a big part of Gerdessi culture and a part of our story. So if that doesn't bother you, then welcome, freak. All right, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, and then we're going to get started. So we're going to start with Kenya.
I was ready for you this time. It's only taken like 2 years, but I'm ready. Um, Hi, I'm Acerson, Kenya, and it's been a long day. My brain is goo, and I'm ready to play some D&D because, as a good friend of mine says, let's ignore our real world problems to play with around with fantasy problems that we can often solve with violence. Um, and this is where I would typically tell you that I'm going to pass it down to my friend Locks, Matt down there. But Matt is not playing with us tonight because he has some other priorities that he has to take care of. And that is okay, but we will miss him greatly. But I'm going to sling it sideways down to M.
Hi. I am so excited to play this. It feels like it has been a long time coming, but I am looking forward to seeing the totally normal and okayness that we are going to be after going through this horrific dungeon. Everything is going to be great and fine, and it's like going to be like a shopping episode or something, right? That's that's what it's going to be. So I'll be playing Sylvie Levine, and yeah, just excited to jump into it. And I will pass it over to Austin.
I am Austin. I am super excited to get back into this. I'll be playing Guillaume de l'Estote, and yeah, it feels like we haven't played since last year. So I'm psyched to see what trouble we just got out of with what we just did. Hopefully, things will be super simple now that we've raided a vampire's home. Uh, yeah, he won't know about that. And we did rescue one person, so I feel pretty good. And with that, I will pass it up to Karen above me.
Hello, everyone. Karen here, also known as Myth and Gears. So excited to get back into this game. I mean, we've done the hard part, right? So everything should be smooth carriage rides from here, right? I knew that. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Tonight I get to play Cameron Diego Ruiz Gonzala, and I cannot wait for him and all his myriad personalities to come out and into the fore. So with that, I'll pass it back to our intrepid game master, Jeremy.
All right. Okay, I don't think there's anything else that we need to go over or touch on. I think, unless there are any pressing questions from any of you, then I think we're ready to start. Okay. Vengeance is compared by many to a hunger that you cannot satisfy. Something that creates a larger whole instead of filling the one left behind by the painful catalyst that summoned it there in the first place. You eat and eat to quiet your growling belly, and still you cannot fulfill this desire for revenge. At some point, when you look back, you realize you are no longer eating because you are hungry. You continue to consume merely because it has become all that you know how to do. We find ourselves still in the mountains, these black, jagged peaks that seem to gather storm clouds to them like moths to a flame. The darkened sky above only barely begins to lighten, to pale, as we see a carriage, breakneck speed, riding through the narrow, dangerous switchback canyons of these mountains, heading back out to flatter ground where the city of Manchalona spreads out far below us. As we see this strange carriage pulled by otherworldly mounts, where do we see the five of you and the hostage that you rescued? What's going on? What is the conversation like as you escape this vampire's castle?
I think Vera is probably sitting right next to Locks because he was carrying Annabelle, who did not make it. And she's probably kind of just sitting next to him, and maybe she's positioned the woman's head in her lap, and she's just kind of like gently like patting her hair and kind of stroking the sides as she just looks down and whispers to her about uh just an apology for her inability to um, follow through with what she had promised when she first arrived at the Castillo, that Vera would be her protector and that she would ensure that no harm would come to her. And she's just kind of continually whispering this apology over and over again as she talks to the woman laying in their lap.
Anyone else?
I have a feeling like it's probably pretty silent in this after as everyone's adrenaline kind of comes down from what has just happened.
What's Escanada's demeanor at this moment? Because I think Guillaume is gauging whether or not he should try interacting with her or just give her some time to process what just happened silently before, like,
Right.
trying to bombard her with sympathy or empathy or whatever he can pretend to have. Just kidding. He's real.
Escanada is her given name. Escanana de la Apozuelo. Definitely not the first time you've met or exchanged dialogue, but she is probably best would be described as in shock. Almost just like she's not really fully registering where she is, what's going on. She's shaking, and unresponsive is not quite the right word. She's not entirely present currently.
I can imagine that she's actually probably sandwiched between Sylvie and Chimeran at this moment. Like they're each on a side of her, kind of embracing her without embracing her, but maybe making a lot of eye contact with one another and um, just kind of looking out for her while she's in this state.
Yeah. And like the rest of you, she is like covered in blood. There was a lot of violence that transpired in that last encounter that you had, and she was unfortunately present for all of that as well.
Does she look injured in any way? Like actually injured other than covered in blood?
You see a few places where she has pairs of puncture marks. But other than that, she does not seem to have any wounds.
Yeah, I think Guillaume would be like after all the muck and everything, he's kind of silently just like driving the carriage, but also just with one hand casting magic to clean himself, and then kind of starts looking around and starts just kind of casting it on everyone to clean up the grime.
Okay. So it sounds like the ride is in fact very quiet. There's not a lot said. As I was saying earlier, you now are able to kind of see the town of Manchalona spread out down beneath you. Currently, it is nighttime. So this picture is not entirely correct, but just to give you an idea of kind of what it again looks like. It's a sizable place. You spent a couple of nights here, and as it turns out, this is where Chimeran is from, at least for a portion of his life. So as you are rolling back up into Manchalona, is there anything you want to say or do before you get into the city? Or are you going to the city?
I think we should ride all night and skip the city.
We don't have horses to worry about getting tired, so
I don't know. We're pretty spent.
You
Sylvie
can sleep. I'll hold you.
I think we are all spent. Chimeran. She looks like very worriedly.
This is far too close. We need to put as many miles behind us as we can.
Oh no, Sylvie has a point. It might be more dangerous for us to be out in the open. The only cart fleeing through the night, that would be a rather obvious target if they do come looking for us. Maybe we bed down for the night, take off during the day when it's a little less dark and vampiric.
It will be much safer during the day. I don't think we could even take on a pack of wild dogs if we met them right now.
And yet you want to stay in the kennel with them.
well,
You can see Chimeran's getting a little bit antsy and anxious at this thought of staying this close to hell.
of course, out here it is likely that the pack of wild dogs are werewolves, but that's just a technicality.
I know it is dangerous, but I just think that we need to catch our breath and we need to do it sooner rather than later. They're going to, I assume, come at us at some point. We need to We need to take the rest now. I think it is best.
Unfortunately, I think you've convinced me. I don't like the idea of being this close, but I am fully spent. I I might be able to conjure one more shield for myself, and that might be about it.
We can make
Sylvia,
sure we're
I
fortified. We can make sure that we are cloaked, hidden. We can make sure no one knows us here. No one would recognize our faces after.
You can see that Chimeran is probably starting to go into like almost a panic mode, really, noticing that you are all set to stay here. Um, and though you're trying to comfort him, he is it's not comforting at all. And he's getting yeah, you he can't even speak. He can't even put words together. String them together. He can't do that. He's having trouble. And Sylvie, the look in his eyes is just like, oh my God, please help me.
Sylvie looks like very seriously, and this is not the same as when you were back. You must trust in us. We will protect you. We will not let anything bad happen to you.
He just silently nods at you, and you can see like at one point like he was trying to comfort Escanada, who is between you two, us two, but now like you can see that he's kind of retreated into one of the corners of the carriage and is like hugging his legs right now. He looks small.
Chimera, and I think there's an increasing frequency in your head, almost like chewing on a piece of foil if you have fillings. This almost tinnitus like ringing that you just cannot get rid of, and it seems to be like increasing with volume, like as you're approaching, and at some point it spikes, and it's almost just like this feedback, and when you're gone for a second, suddenly you find yourself back in the crypt with a brand in your hand, pressed against the flesh of one of the innocent women who died, as she screams. And then the flash is gone and you're back in this carriage again, but that is still like buzzing in your skull.
Yeah, I think there's like an echoing scream that kind of persists into this, and it takes a moment for Chimeran realizes that was him. Um, and you just see him at this point. He is just holding his head and he's like rocking. Um, I think the sweat is even starting to um, bead upon his brow. You can tell he's fighting something. What, you don't know.
Aaron, what's wrong?
I don't know if he can answer you properly, but I think you barely hear the words like, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming.
Should just kind of nod and look over at Sylvie and like make eye contact with her.
You see, like, there's a ton of pain in Sylvie's face. You know that, like, if this wasn't what she is just so worried that they're going to be caught, like, with their pants down,
Mhm.
if we continue, like, we are so spent at this point. We just went through an entire thing looking to Escanada too. Like, we need to get her kind of situated too. Like, it
Mhm.
really pains her to have to make this decision. But at this point, she like is looking out for, the betterment of everyone. But it hurts, and you can see that on her face, the pain that she has whenever she looks to Chimeran.
All right, take us to the inn, Guillaume. We'll lay down for a couple hours. We'll keep watch. We'll be in shifts.
We will leave first thing as soon as the sun rays hit. We should go.
Do you think we should try to stay at the Pompadour Halfling again, or should we try to find another establishment so we're not in the same place? I really liked the Pompadour Halfling. I'd like to go back there, but I understand if you think it's safer not to.
I think, yeah,
I
Sylvie looks to Vera too. Just
I don't think it matters either way, really. If someone's coming and they want to find us, they're going to find us. Unless one of us can transport to another dimension. We won't be hard to find. Should we park the carriage in the woods just outside of town and walk in? Or do you think this town won't even care that there's spectral horses?
Do they look like they're magic and not real?
Yeah, like their hooves don't make contact with the ground.
Okay. Okay.
There's like purple fire and shit like coming off of them everywhere, and they're very much like not normal looking.
Yeah, and I would agree. Regardless of how weird this town is, I don't want us to be recognizable or recognizably bringing something we stole from the vampire castle. Uh, so I'll definitely
It's very much like a vampire's carriage. Like looking at it, there would be like nobody on the planet that would be like, that's conspicuous.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it as deep into the woods as I can. That like a 10-minute walk out of town, uh, and then really try to like cover it up, do the whole like in the bushes, pull some branches down. Um, I don't think there's anything better than that I can do. I don't have any magic left, so illusions are out.
Okay. So as you park the car, and walk to town, as you start to kind of like make it into the town proper, you can see that the behavior is much the same. Like nobody seems really keen to stay out on the streets very long at night here. People are still shuttering their houses and their stores. Again, you were here just a few nights ago, and you do, however, notice that there are a few individuals who are out past dark, and they are hastily pasting like posters onto the walls. They are, one of them is kind of holding it in place, and the other one is very quickly like dipping a brush in a bucket and like smearing the glue all over it, and then they're very quickly running down the street until they have to stop and put another one. But they very much seem like they're trying to do this as quickly as possible.
I hate to ask, but what's on the poster? I'll go up to one after they've run off.
It says "Wanted" in large letters, and it says for kidnapping of the heir. And there is a sketch of Reston, the child's caretaker, and a figure that looks an awful lot like Chimeran.
Okay, I thought it was for some reason I thought it was going to be for like something we did at the castle, and I was like, man, they are fast, and also I don't know if those are crimes. I'm like, oh no, it's for the crime we actually did. We did kidnap a child.
Truth.
It was a friendly kidnapping.
It was consensual, at least.
More a parental abduction situation. I think that that's slightly. No, that's not good that way either. It doesn't sound good.
There's no doubt that you helped the child out of a bad situation. At least we know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna run back to Chimeran and just kind of flip his hood. Like I don't know if he has a hood on. Oh, he's got a mask. You're already disguised as. Is it like Chimeran video? Like what is it? Yeah, I guess what's the Chimeran picture on the sketch? Is it like with the mask, without?
So without the mask, and more feminine.
Does it look like the Isabel persona?
Has
Isabel.
everybody seen Isabel?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think
Because
yes.
Have I?
yes, because
Okay.
yeah, at some point on this trip with I think either before or after we saved the boy.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
right.
That's right. Okay, so I definitely like run back and like.
So yeah.
Are you in Chimeran mode or?
I am right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and that would be fully as well. I'm in panic chimera mode, so I'm like a little ball at this point. But yes, mask back on.
Perfect. Okay. Then I think actually I won't draw your attention to it, seeing that you're already rather panicky with how things are shaking out. So I'll just kind of like whisper to Vera and Sylvie, like, so the poster, definitely Chimeran, but like Lady Chimeran. So I think it'll be okay. I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. They are expecting the child to be with her, and maybe that other guy, the old guy. Um, but let's just, let's keep that quiet, and we'll just kind of keep him at the back because some of the facial features are a little similar, although you can barely tell under the mask. But like, there's a little bit of chin that kind of looks the same. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. Right. Just kind of disappear back.
Hera kind of looks around at the group and which one of us do you think looks the least scary right now? She'll kind of just look at everybody in the group and
I would say Sylvie, but she's dressed so well. That's always intimidating.
I'm just wondering who's going to go talk to the tavern keep, and we should get one room. And if we have to double and triple up in beds, it's fine.
I can go. I can go get us a room. I think I am the least conspicuous out of us.
Guillaume just kind of looks down at the clothes that he's wearing that he asked Sylvie to make that are specifically made to be inconspicuous, and then just goes like, "It's the face. I know."
You've done so many crimes, Guillaume. I can't keep track of them. And
I don't have enough willpower left to disguise myself. I'm gonna look like this until tomorrow. Or I could be a rat man, but that doesn't feel like it would inspire any more confidence.
Jeremy, I have a
with the least
question.
amount of crime should go.
Yes.
When we were going through the creepy hanging vampire room, did any of the vampires in there look like the ones that we attacked in the street and took care of?
No. No.
That's swell.
The mothers were like rooted to the spot, right? Like they couldn't like move so much.
And they weren't like the feeling in that room was much more one of like chattel. Like they weren't clothed, they weren't like, this was not like a pretty place at all. The ones that you fought here in town, they had clothing, they had jewelry. It was very much, they very much had like a kept up appearance to them.
Okay. She looks at Sylvie. I mean, okay. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Okay. So Sylvie, you head to the Pompadoured Halfling.
Yes.
Okay. Again, you find it much in the same way that you found it before. This at one time would have been a very schwanky place. There's decor everywhere. The colors look like they were probably vibrant at one point. Very kind of in fashion. But everybody here is like drained, gray, just down. And whenever you walk in, you recognize the keep behind the bar, kind of look up and kind of give like an exhale. How can I help you?
Hello. We are looking to rent a room. A
Of
single
course, you are. One room?
room. One room. That is why most people come to the tavern, no?
Whatever. He turns around and he goes back and gets a key, kind of like places it up on the counter in no hurry whatsoever.
No, really, it's fine. Take your time.
He smiles. He says, "That will be 3 gold pieces, please."
Is that like super expensive to rent a room? 3?
For one that's decent,
Good night.
like at a place like this, it would probably not be all that expensive normally.
Okay. Yeah, she pays.
Okay. He kind of scrapes the coins off the counter into his other hand and goes to put them away, just kind of leaving the key where he left it for you to take.
She's not even going to ask about food this time. That was a whole thing the last time.
Yes,
so
it was.
She...
We have rations.
Yeah. So she just takes the keys, is going to look around the area. She wants to kind of she just wants to look at who is in this tavern.
Again, it's very much the kind of the people of Manchelona. It looks like maybe people who were traveling through town, maybe people who live outside of town and came here for a meal, a drink. But everybody again kind of has that same like almost again like they're desaturated, like the color has been kind of drained out of them a little. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of merriment. There's a lot of like hanging heads and like shuffling feet. And you can see there are puncture marks on almost everyone's necks or wrists or both. They look like they have been being fed on.
Yeah, she's not going to spend too much time looking around just because she doesn't want to look too suspicious. But yeah, she's going to, I guess, signal to the rest of them that the room is ready.
Yeah. Nobody seems interested in trying to stop you or ask you any questions. So all of you are able to make your way up to the room without any harassment.
Quick question for the group. Did we ever collect any kind of gem of any kind?
Let me check my list of loot. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure you've at least gotten bloodstones.
We sold 910 gold worth of gems that we collected. I don't see any mention of us keeping them.
I have a small velvet pouch that happens to hold one exquisite ruby.
Ooh.
You do, you do.
There you go.
That is the note I left to myself. So
Does Sylvie know that? Because
I
actually, she would
probably
ask. She would ask if once everyone gets into the room. Actually, she would, and there's pause, and everyone's kind of getting settled. Does anyone happen to have a gem, a stone?
I think Chimeran doesn't even question it. He just passes you the small velvet pouch without even really looking at you or it or anything. It's just something like nonchalant, here you go. As he begins to like, kind of pace around the room a little bit, closing the curtains and all sorts of paranoid things as he's walking around the room.
And immediately you see Sylvie, like, she opens up her sketchbook, and you can see that at some point during their journey, she had been, like, sketching something or working on something. And you can see, like, a somewhat of a design starting, though it looks kind of all over the place. But she is going to be working on that until when and if they complete a short rest, then she will reveal what she is fiddling with.
And again, like this ruby is like large. This is, I don't know about rubies really, but it's probably, I don't know, the size of like a strawberry. So it's considerable size, and it's immaculate, like all the way through.
Amazing. Yeah. You can see Sylvie looks absolutely so pleased with this, as she's like going back and forth between her design, and she's almost like, she almost looks to be like tracing sigils within the ruby with her fingers. And I think Guillaume would maybe notice the ever so slight like arcaneness that is going into this ruby. Like every so often you'll see like an arcane symbol appear in what she's like tracing around and like almost disappear into the ruby.
Yeah, I think without like saying anything about that, he's just kind of watching intently, and after like seeing one or two of those, he just like pulls out a little notebook and starts sketching because he just has like a compulsion to, whenever he sees like a new rune he's not seen before, thinks like, I should write that down, and like tries to get the best approximation, even though they kind of fade out so quickly that he's like, I think it was a swish here.
Awesome.
Okay. You are not going to be bothered at all through the night. Nobody's going to come knocking at your door. So those of you who intend to get a full night's sleep will be able to do so. But throughout the night, you hear the occasional like shout, orders being given, doors being broken in, and people, screaming out in protest. It seems like someone, some kind of guards or what have you, some force, is going around to different locations and searching. Okay. As I said,
Can can Vera kind of go over to the window maybe and like crack it and peek out and see if she can see anything extra when she's up during her shift?
yeah.
Maybe make a
So
perception check or something for it.
you can, and you can do so at advantage because there's
Okay.
nothing on the street at this time of night.
Perception advantage. Thank you for the advantage because the first die was a 1. 23.
Okay. Yeah. You actually see a few of these guards or what have you that seem to be going from place to place. And in the light of the moon that you can kind of see here, now that you're kind of out away from the mountains, you see the telltale red cloak and wide brim hat of Justicaros.
Once she kind of sees that, she'll just kind of breathe and sigh really deeply and kind of just tuck the window back into its space to make sure that no light leaks out and they're not aware that anyone's up here. And um, she'll kind of just pause, maybe like leaning her head onto the cool, like stone around the window and the wall and think briefly of Ella back home and then kind of stand up and walk over and start waking up whoever would be next on the shift rotation. Not mentioning it to anyone.
Okay. So, morning finds you. Um, whether you had a spot on the bed or had to rough it on the floor, you wake up and, like I said, nothing has happened overnight. You can hear, people elsewhere in the inn starting to kind of rouse, but again, not with any great fervor. So,
I have a question. My max hit points had been degraded from a fight
oh,
elsewhere. Does that get?
I'm pretty sure. Do you know what the source was? Do you remember?
I'm gonna say the things we fought.
Fair enough. Um,
Something undead.
I don't recall having anything that says otherwise. So, yes, we'll say that you have gained them back after the long rest you just got.
Yeah, it was whatever I got hit by whatever, and then it increased the max hit point at the same time. So
Yeah, might have been Lugarico's simulacrum.
mm, sounds okay. Long rest.
So nobody's even mentioned that. Nobody has said anything in the group about that conversation yet.
Man, I
Was a
really thought it was him. I really like Guillaume's like, yeah, just thinking about this, like the narrator voice I sometimes like to imagine is just inner monologue. And so that's like reminding me like I really thought it was him. Like I was so surprised he was there. I didn't think he'd be there, but then he fucking wasn't. Do any of you know enough about that kind of magic? Like do they share does that share memory? Vera, you seem to be sort of aware of it. I don't know. Does he know now? We killed everyone else. There weren't any other witnesses other than whatever those things were in the room before.
I mean, I don't know exactly how they work. I just knew what it was. I had heard of them before. I can't tell you if he sensed it melting or not. I don't know. I'm assuming, well, I should probably tell you guys this now since we're talking about it. Last night while I was on my my watch. Right before I woke you, Guillaume. There was Justicaros pulling people from their homes and searching homes.
Right. Maybe we should try to
Leave.
slip out as nonchalantly as we can, one by one, too. They might be looking for all of us together. I think they seem to have, when they brought me in for questioning, they seem to have a lot of information on who I was hanging out with, or brought you guys in to question you about me.
Well, they're very aware of who I am too, so
But you were pretty good at not looking like you, if I recall correctly.
yes, I am.
I
Um,
cannot look like me, and so
You can already see that Chimeran is off in the corner somewhere in front of like some sort of mirrored surface, getting ready. He is becoming not himself. His hair is no longer red. Um,
hi,
he
Marin.
is going through, he's disguising himself the old-fashioned way, without magic, but doing such things nonetheless.
Is he wearing his mask?
Always.
I think.
But it's a different one.
Oh, a different. All right, all right, all right. Never mind. Guillaume was definitely gonna say something of like, I gotta say the mask is pretty recognizable. Like, oh, it's a different. Never mind. All right.
I don't know if you want me to roll how well I am doing that,
Oh,
but I have
let's.
the disguise kit, so
Perfect.
Can
should we
Sylvie help?
just Ooh,
Yeah, absolutely.
yes, you help me put my makeup on.
Mhm.
Do we do a deception check with that?
No, because it's proficiency with tools, right? So it would probably be, God, either dexterity or maybe wisdom.
Why not both?
So choose whichever of those is higher and then go for that.
Okie dokie.
You're proficient with them, right?
Yes, yeah.
Then you add your proficiency as well.
So that'll be a 22 with
Phew.
proficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hardly recognize yourself when you're done.
That is exactly what I was looking for.
But still.
Also,
The earworm is still in my yeah.
Yep. Sorry, what were we saying, Em?
I think Sylvie would have been the last on watch for the morning, and anyone who looks over, in the place of where the ruby was, is now what looks to be this metallic looking bird with the ruby encrusted on the wing. I have put a picture in our chat of what this bird looks like. And so it sits there and it just it's moving and it kind of cocks its head a little bit and it acts like a bird would. And you see beside the bird in Sylvie's sketchbook is a sketch of this bird.
I think Guillaume not noticing like the sketchbook or the sketch or realizing that that's where the ruby was, uh, just kind of like glances down, catches sight of the bird. Says, mechanical espionage! Catch it! Catch it!
Guillaume, it's fine. This is my bird, our bird. It can help us.
Oh.
And it kind of like cocks its head around. Mechanically, I made a homunculus.
Oh, that's right. I remember you were saying that you could do that now. Badass.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking that this bird might be helpful to have a watchful eye to be sent out maybe a little bit ahead of wherever we're going, can alert us to danger.
How big is it? Is it like hawk size or like
It's like a big
crows?
raven.
Raven.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Guillaume just kind of looking down at it and sizing it up and like wondering like kind of imagining himself as a rat and wondering if he can like crawl onto it.
I mean,
Like
ravens are pretty big.
I I have to try something. Excuse me, Madam Escanada, please do not be alarmed by this. This is totally normal and to be expected, and I know you've had a rough couple of weeks, but just you can go along with like one more thing happening that is not directly harming or threatening you, right?
She kind of stares at you. Uh, I suppose I can add it to the list of questions I have.
Fantastic. And he's just gonna immediately shift down to a rat in front of her. Uh, and then like kind of give like a little head nod in rat form, and then head over to the
Huh.
bird, kind of give it a bow, and then just see if he can like kind of scurry around behind it and like climb up onto its like shoulder, not shoulder, on its back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. It's the size is
Yeah, he just kind of tests it out there for a second, kind of like you see the rat kind of just shift sides as it's like got the claws kind of like wrapped around the shoulders, like any metallic bit sticking out. And then kind of like a satisfied kind of head nod, and he slides back off and then shifts back into human form.
this will be great. When you do your reconnaissance, now you can do it through flight.
Uh, Vera would have watching him do this. Oh, well, I guess now, at least we know we don't have to try to hide Guillaume when we leave the inn, if he just rides your bird out.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Are you going to make him a little, like, hat to protect his head while he's flying? Maybe
Little
some
goggles.
glasses?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Escanada kind of interjects. Forgive me, I don't wish to seem ungrateful, but could someone please explain to me what in the nine hells is going on?
With that part or everything, I'm just were rat. Got infected a while ago. It's fine though. It's actually really great. I don't have any of those like those wolf things that you think of when you think of animal shifters. Those like, urges. Really just more of a convenience thing at this point.
He likes cheese.
I do. I do. It smells good.
Oddly enough, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
It's-
the whole vampire thing then.
Yes. What? Why? Who were all those other women?
They
Oh.
Why
were,
me?
and she'll kind of sit down next to her and like put her like hand on top of Escanada's and kind of pat it a little bit, and you and all of the women that were there, you all got pregnant at the same time.
Yes, I noticed, but why does that mean anything? There's no answer that I can come up with in my head that makes any sense.
Well, it's when you got pregnant.
During
They,
Amiga's other?
exactly. They, you know that it's forbidden for a reason.
What? Yes, but surely that's just talk.
Hey, I thought so
Superstition.
too. I thought so too. Broke the rules many times. Fortunately, nothing came of it, but unfortunately, looks like it is not such a silly superstition after all. It does sort of open the doorway to some dark things.
She puts her hand on her belly. Is my baby in trouble? In danger?
Hopefully not, because we stopped whatever it was trying to do to you. You didn't get branded. Um,
I think when this talk of the other women, and especially when Guillaume says branded, there's like um I don't know what kind of sound that um almost like a tortured sound comes from Chimaran as he's getting disguised. Um and his back is like extremely straight at that point, and there's just a moment before he goes back to reapplying whatever it is that he's doing at this moment. He does not turn to look at you, Guillaume, when you say that, but
From the best we can tell is by virtue of when you got pregnant. Trying to think how to make it make sense. There's a possibility that if a ritual is done, your baby could be taken over, I guess. And she looks at Guillaume like, am I getting this right?
that's about what I could surmise. It seems that your any baby conceived during that time is sort of a perfect vessel for possession. That's what we think. We are not entirely certain about any of this. There's a lot of subterfuge and mystery around the whole thing. It seems that they're keeping their plans pretty quiet, but
Who
they've kidnapped
who would
many.
do such a thing? This is beyond monstrous.
Yeah. No, this is heinous. It's vampires. That's I thought we made that clear. Sorry. Um, it might be best if we don't get too specific about who. Uh, the more you know, the more danger you may be in. Although obviously the danger has already come to pass.
It's
Is it?
probably not safe. Well, we're going to take you home, but you might not want to stay at home until after your baby is born and whole. We have someplace we could probably take you to keep you safe. Um,
Where
you're
would
going
that
to
be?
need to, with a friend, um, back in the city. Um, Also, we should probably tell you, um, that we think your husband was involved in this in a roundabout way.
Are you
Um,
are you certain?
we're not 100%. We found some rather incriminating things against him when we were searching his study, but whether the two things are connected right now, we're not sure. There's just a possibility that he may have been a part of this.
Because you always had a dark streak to him, but I never would have imagined that he was capable of being involved in something like this. Something that
His
would harm his own child?
He was well
oh,
aware that it wasn't his.
Oh,
Men can do some cruel
Of
things
course.
sometimes, especially when they feel righteous.
And I think his actions after you were taken spoke highly to his nature. Not a very honest man.
Uh, no. No, he was not. He had his many faults. I will readily admit to that.
Yeah. We didn't tell her yet that he's dead, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we gave her back her house. Like, yeah, she said it
Okay.
was.
I couldn't remember if we told him or if we told her or
Mhm.
not.
Wait, when did? Because my memory was that she was taken, then the duel happened because he was accusing us. Have we seen? We hadn't seen her since then until the castle. Did we tell her at the castle?
She hadn't been taken yet at that point. We knew something was going on, and we were looking to try and find out what was going on.
I thought
Yeah,
the
but
duel happened after
the
she
duel
was
didn't
taken.
happen until she was gone, right?
I'm pretty sure it didn't.
Maybe.
Hold on,
Because
let
I
me.
because I think it was the cause. Like she disappeared, and he was like, "What'd you do with my wife?" Because we were trying to save her, and she disappeared. Like got
It's right
taken
here in
by
my
the
notes.
shadow.
Session 18 by a thread. The husband accuses the group of killing his wife and challenges G to a duel. G accepts but asks for steel blades with no magic.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I don't know why I thought she was that she knew.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So,
Well,
rewind a bit.
good news, bad news situation about your asshole husband.
Vera literally giggles like that.
Bad news, everything we've told you already about what a bastard he was. Good news, he's not a problem anymore. He says that with like a kind of expecting
You
like you're picking up on this and we don't have to get too deep into it kind of
he was
tone.
arrested for his crimes?
Oh, no, he got sort of dual challengey as soon as you disappeared. And
Ah, yes, he was fond of fighting duels. He was
yes.
very gifted as a swordsman.
Well, not quite gifted enough. He did resort to cheating at the end of the duel after he had essentially lost.
Well, that's
Um,
not surprising.
Sort of forced the hand of the other duelist. And it was unfortunate, but he did not survive the conflict.
I see. And do I still have a home to go to? Wouldn't
Yeah,
the winner of the duel have taken the estate?
Wait, was that on the table?
she looks at Guillaume.
No. Winner of the duel is not taking the estate.
The winner of the
Winner of the
duel
duel
left your
wouldn't.
staff in charge.
Yes, until you return. The winner of the duel would take a small token of victory if one were available at your discretion. We can talk about it later.
Certainly,
Full disclosure,
yes.
I won the duel. I killed your
Oh,
husband.
you?
I'm sorry
I mean,
about that.
oh.
No, I know. Trust
She
me.
seems very surprised and trying desperately to hide it.
I'm as surprised as you are. I thought I was going to have to resort to cheating. I didn't.
Oh, well,
Guillaume is not well, he's not talented at a lot of things, but one thing he is very proficient at is wizardry. And once your husband cheated, it meant that Guillaume was able to release the full
use magic.
Okay, but I
power
did
of
beat
his
him with the
being.
sword. I just want to put that out there. I did beat him with the sword. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I do not
I'm sorry, miss.
mean to
My condolences.
shed doubt onto your victory. I apologize, please. I just he had killed many men before. Well, I'm not entirely sure what this means. I, I
I'm
suppose.
pretty sure it means you are unfortunately a single mother, but you own a large estate and have a lot of money now that you don't have to worry about your darling husband controlling.
She kind of laughs. Well, it's hard to imagine saying these words, but I feel fortunate. The other women who died, do you know who they are? Where they came from?
Some of them, mostly from Al Hidalgo.
We should let their families know. Whoever it is that knows them. And I would like for a portion of my wealth to go to them as an apology. Sorts, I suppose.
You have nothing to apologize for?
I am the only one who walked away from that horrible place. I survived and they did not. I cannot help but feel some level of guilt.
It is not your fault that you survived and they did not.
Perhaps not, but there is no one else that is going to make amends for what was done to their families. It would help me feel better about everything that happened.
I understand.
We should probably get moving. It's already light out, and we don't want to be in town too close to town when the Justicaros come to this building. There might be descriptions bandied about, and we would like to not match those.
Escanada nods. She kind of gets to her feet with some considerable effort. You know, the belly that she is sporting is beyond noticeable.
Guillaume, can you make her not visible?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me double check if I can. I think so, because I think basic invisibility is not self, right? It's touch.
I
Yeah,
believe so.
yeah. All right. I apologize for this, but I think we are going to need you to not be visible because, well, you're incredibly pregnant, and I think that that's really obvious, and I'm sorry about that. I know that's a rude thing to say. I just mean that it's conspicuous.
I would not disagree.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I've never really tried this when there's a creature inside the creature before, so I really hope this doesn't make you invisible and not your baby. Okay. And he'll
She
place
kind
a
of
hand.
looks at the rest of the group with like a questioned, almost pained look on her face.
And
Vera just looks over at her and goes, I promise you, he's actually a fairly competent wizard.
Maybe to help on this, because Chimera doesn't understand how it works either, but we'll wrap her in the cloak that he's got so that it will fully cover front and back. So in his mind anyway, the cloak will be invisible, and therefore everything underneath it should also be. We don't know how it works, but we're going to help.
But yeah, he'll just like wave a hand down, holding his like staff orb thing, and she'll just kind of fade from view from the top down.
This is not the staff that you got from the Vine Keeper, was it?
No, not the blood staff.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
currently have that. I have it.
Who has that?
I have it equipped when we like fight for just for the +2, but I haven't like blood loaded it or anything.
Okay. I thought you were describing waving that like in front of her face. It's
no, this
fine.
is just my normal like sword cane with the orb in the hilt.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I mean, as far as my understanding of the spell, like she disappears, she goes invisible. And I think you've got a timer on it. So I imagine after that 1 hour. Okay. So imagine after that you hoof it to out of town where you stashed the carriage. Okay. Again, you see on your way out of town, those posters have been plastered everywhere around town. Every street corner, there's one on either side of the corner of the building that's at the square. There's a few places where there's 2 of them that were put up and plastered in place and then just left that way. Obviously, these people did this in a massive hurry.
I'd like to take one surreptitiously as possible.
Sure. There's a few people that are kind of like looking at them in detail, reading the rest of the information that's kind of on the page, but not necessarily. Again, no enthusiasm, no fervor. It seems to be almost a chore just to do that, and you do notice again that there's also a lot of broken in doors, a lot of smashed furniture. You see more than a few blood stains, that kind of decorate the threshold of the home. Apparently last night was a very violent night for a lot of these people. And they seem to kind of be picking up the broken pieces as best they can today. And you see more than a couple of Justicaros kind of hanging around. And these are not the Justicaros of Aladalgo. Like, the Justicaros of Aladalgo are almost like an order of priests or monks. Like, there's a lot of like uniformity. There's a lot of everything is like clean and tailored appropriately. These Justicaros look a little more rough around the edge. Like, they still wear the same red cloaks and the same red wide brim hats, but these are more mercenary, sellsword type look to them. But they seem to be like guards, if you want to call them that. It's more like kind of seeing thugs sprinkled throughout the city. But none of them stops you. You manage to make it out of town without any problem. Okay. As you get back up into the seat of the carriage and activate the rune-covered reins, again, the ground splits open in front of the carriage, and 2 of these horses climb out, wreathed in purple flame, and immediately, to the crack of your reins, turn and get you back on the road. I think this is where we're going to take a break, but go ahead.
I was going to say, I just realized this is an incredibly suspicious and obvious vehicle, but we'll deal with it.
All right. So we're going to take a 10-minute bio break, refill your drink, smoke them if you got them, kiss your spouse, etc., etc. And then we'll come back and finish up the second half of session 33 of Evermore le Masquerade. everyone. Welcome back from the break. This is the second half of episode 33 of Evermore le Masquerade. This is called the second course. So we are now leaving the town of Mancholona in the dust and headed more of an eastward direction. Let's see if I can't get the map. Where did I put the map? I have one. I know I have one. Oh, it's way at the bottom. Sorry. Hold, please. So Mancholona is kind of almost center screen. Kind of in the hills right next to the mountains. And Al Hidalgo is out in the middle of the lake, far to the northeast. Alta Venania is the town that you kind of went to first, and it's just a little south of the Juxet Desert, still in the hill area. So you are on your way back there. Alta Venania. And it's again kind of like rolling hills with the occasional like mound that rises higher. And there are lots and lots and lots of windmills that you pass as you kind of make your way through these grasslands. So as this carriage being pulled by spectral purple flaming horses kind of rides through this beautiful countryside, sounded like there was some more conversation that was taking place.
Escanada, do you mind if we ask you a few questions about what you experienced over the last few days?
She kind of furrows her brow as if that might really be kind of an unpleasant experience. But after a moment, she nods in affirmation. I will answer what I can.
Thank you. We'll try to keep it brief, and I know this is going to be difficult for you, but it could be important. What do you remember of being taken? Do you have any memory of that? You were in your room. We were visiting, sort of. We heard the noises and busted in.
I was trying to sleep. There was a candle that burned on my nightstand. It was already somewhat low, but the window was open to let in the cool air, and suddenly the flame began to whip around violently, though there was no breeze. No air had come in through the window to cause it to do so. One of the shadows of the bedpost created by the candle flame, it moved in a way that was... Anyways, it grabbed me and pulled me up near the ceiling, and then there was no light. Everything went dark, and I could not tell which way was up, which way was down, almost like being in water. When I woke, I was being loaded into this carriage. My hands were bound, and the others were there with me.
Were you still in Al Hidalgo? Or not Al Hidalgo. Sorry, you weren't to begin with. Were you still near your estate?
I'm not sure where I was, to be honest. It was the middle of nowhere.
Do you know how long you traveled to get to the castle?
It was a number of days. We had to stop at least for one night. One of the women, she tried to run, and the carriage driver killed her.
What did the carriage driver look like?
A small, thin man, painfully old. He actually reminded me somewhat of a cobbler I once knew in Al Hidalgo.
Oh, I think we may have killed him too. Not the cobbler. Although I'm wondering now if we did mess up his shop. Could all be connected. Could not be. I'm not sure. We spent some time in an old cobbler shop. This is off topic. Do any of you have any questions? And he'll kind of just like realize what he's doing and just quietly sit down.
Did you hear them say anything? Any names, places, things maybe that were a little words that were confusing to you, and anything like that?
The carriage driver did not speak much on the way there. He kept telling us to be quiet, but we managed to speak a little amongst each other, but not much beyond first names, maybe. When we got to the castle, there was a lot that was said. Iron masks was mentioned. There was a name. It was familiar for some reason. Oh, yes. The woman who just was married. Lavinia Strozzi. I heard her name mentioned. But she was not one of the women with us.
She, you see Sylvie hold up her hand. Lavinia, what was, do you happen to remember what was mentioned about her?
Only that preparations were being made. She was to be coming to the castle.
Sylvie looks to
Is
the
she also
others.
pregnant?
God, no. No, no. Sorry.
Sylvie looks at Guillaume like. Well, at least we don't think so.
So she was
This
not.
is very good. This is very helpful. You're doing a great job, she says, as like Sylvie like puts a reassuring hand on Escanato's shoulder. Is there anything
Thank
else?
You. Everything seems to become a little disjointed from that point onward. Things were lots of time in the dark, with no light to see. My half-elven blood allows me to see some details, but even then, it was almost like the light was afraid to shine.
You were not harmed while you were waiting, were you?
She kind of extends her forearms to show that there are puncture marks on her arm and on her neck. They did come to us. They were other women. They came in bit us, he drank from us. And it was so strange. It was almost like drinking, intoxicating. I would fall in and out of consciousness. That's why I'm not able to remember much, I am afraid.
Not that Chimera knows much about vampirism or whatever, but what we have learned through our dealings. Does Escanada like show any signs of um what's the word I'm looking for? Being like, I don't know, like
Turn.
tainted or defiled, something like that. Yeah, that she might turn if she is dead.
So I believe one of you actually has a book with an entry about vampires in it. I believe Guillaume does.
Yes, I would have read. I think at this point I've shared all the information that's on like the basic vampire stat block thing that you gave me access to. But I don't recall anything about.
Let's see what it says about
Oh, not campfire.
turning. I ran a game like that.
Oh, here we go. Bite.
There you go.
No. Okay, so it seems unlikely that she would be.
Yeah,
From
you would
what
have to
we've
die.
Yeah, she would have to
Sounds
die
like.
and be buried as like die from bites. So it seems like they just fed on her.
Correct.
Escanona, I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm kind of wondering if you'll let me try something. I have an ability to, you know, delve into people's minds and read their thoughts.
Oh.
And I'm wondering if you'll kind of recount what you just told us, and while you're thinking about it, maybe I can see things that you're not recalling.
Are you certain you want to do that? It is
I mean,
not something I would wish for anyone to live through.
um, it's kind of a we don't have much of a choice at this point. We're trying to take down something much more dangerous and larger than anything any of us even never knew existed, so. And we've seen quite a bit. Let's just say the room outside the room you were being held in was not a pleasant place to be.
She nods. But then, if I can help, then very well.
Okay. Vera will use detect thoughts on her. And since she's willing, I don't have to make the rolls and have her do the wisdom saves and stuff. And she'll kind of just she'll just kind of very quickly ask her the same things Guillaume did, maybe kind of push a little bit harder on the what did they say about Lavinia parts. Um, that's very kind of curious to her that Lavinia was planning to come out there. Um, even if she knows what kinds of preparations were being made for Lavinia. Um,
Okay,
that kind of
let's
stuff.
see. Yeah. You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature in most of this moment. In action, you can shift your attention to another creature's thoughts or attempt to probe deeper. Something, okay. Insight into its reasoning, its emotional state, and something that looms large in its mind. Okay, so it's not necessarily like you're picturing it, like you're reliving the moment, as it were. It's more like a kaleidoscope of emotions and like thoughts about this situation. I think the unfortunate thing is that it's mainly from her point of view. It's from her memory, so there's not necessarily extra light that can be shed on it, if you will. But you definitely get the sensation that Lavinia's name being mentioned, arriving to the castle, is strange. That's out of the ordinary, and it reminds you of something else that you heard mentioned somewhere before, that though she married into the Turin, I think is the name, family, the man who died at the very, very beginning of the campaign, it was his son, that she was married to. Even though she was being married into that family, that she was actually intended as the bride of someone else. The Padre Primero. Wow. Stunned silence.
There's one other thing that she wants to like kind of nod her to think about while she's digging around in there, and she's gonna ask her when the last time was that she felt her baby kicking.
Back a few miles when we hit that rough patch of road. Thankfully. Why do you ask? Is my baby going to be okay?
Oh no, I was worried because you said they were drinking from you. I I know nothing about this. I didn't know how it would affect, and I just wanted to make sure um that that you were okay. And while she's talking to her about this stuff, I'll tell you what Kenya's kind of wondering, and then you can tell me whether or not I have any inclination as Vera. Kenya is very curious if when she starts to direct Escanada's thoughts to the baby, if she's noticing anything off, additional, or missing, or you know what I mean? Like, because we're talking about possible possession type stuff here and everything. Like, if she kind of points Escanada's thoughts in the direction of the baby, is there all of a sudden like some sort of thought that happens that kind of might signify something odd like that to Vera?
No. If anything, it seems like the feeding and things that were done were specifically avoided the child. Almost like the child was protected in a way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Nope. Okay. So obviously Lox is also there. He's just been quiet the whole time. In addition, there is also a body that is in the carriage with you, and has been the entire journey. It's been a few days now, and unfortunately, Annabelle is starting to stink the place up a little. It's noticeable in the carriage.
Perhaps when we get her to the huntsman's, we can bury her on the ground somewhere.
Yeah, I just like prestidigitation, some like lavender scent around her.
It's kind of like when
Yeah,
you
she's
spray in the bathroom after a really, really bad, gnarly experience, and it just smells like citrus. Yeah.
lavender and death. It's a
Okay.
good band name.
Yeah, it is, actually.
I was literally going to type that in the chat.
Um. Okay, yeah, I have an idea.
Okay. Clearly, it's not an idea you want to share yet.
No. It's something I want to do later when we get to the highwayman's
Fair enough.
place. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you want to do before you get back to Alta Venania? No? Okay.
I guess I'll just as a precaution before we get into a more populated area cast mage armor on myself.
Mm.
The place we're going is just their estate, right? It's not like an actual town or anything, right? Isn't it just like their estate type place?
I mean, there is a town. It's just
Okay.
the estate takes up the majority of it. It's definitely kind of one of those situations where the town kind of grew up around the business of taking care of the estate. Okay, so you ride back into Alta Venania. This is their estate. This is part of what the grounds of their home looks like. The town itself, although nowhere near as creepy this time as you're riding in, this is about the size of the town. So I mean, it's considerable. But yeah, you ride back into town, and everything here seems almost a stark contrast to Menchalona. Everybody here seems to be kind of in high spirits. They seem to be going about their daily tasks with a little bit of a pep in their step, and they wave and smile at you as you kind of pass, and then kind of look at your carriage as you ride by, and just kind of shake their heads and go back to what they're doing.
We should probably come up for an excuse or even just an off-putting joke that kind of dismisses the question for why we have this thing, because we're gonna get some looks. Just a thought.
We found it abandoned on the side of the road, and you're a great wizard who
We
figured
we
out
won-
how to use it.
we won it in a bet. I mean, you are a famous duelist now, right? The wizard duelist. And
Won it in a wizard duel. I love that. That's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
Yes.
go for that.
Make sure you like tattoo a slash mark on your arm for how many people you've killed in duels. You're up to 1.
Well, I mean, we're making up this wizard, so I'm gonna say that that's a different person than the guy I actually got in a duel. So I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna count it two.
Okay, absolutely.
If we're bullshitting, we might as well bullshit right.
I mean, if you are bullshit, you can put as many slashes on your arm as you
That's a
want
good
to.
point. I should go to at least 4 if we want to make it look fearsome. No, I don't want to get challenged right and left. Okay, we'll skip that. We'll just say we
3.
want it in a duel if people ask.
Okay.
He does play around with like prestidigitationing different little designs of like slash marks or hashes, or like even then there's like one where it's like a wand, a sword, uh just as a like representation of how he won the duel.
Perfect.
I think we're heading straight to the highwayman's place.
Okay. You are able to basically ride right up to in through the front gate. The highwayman will come out to greet you himself, actually. Oh, poor, what was his name? Sobrino? Yeah, poor Sobrino. He's no longer here. What was his name? Oh, there it is. The Marqués Ronet Madeira Corregidor. The Wolf of Alta Venania. He comes out dressed to the nines. That shock of hair that you were talking about earlier, Austin, definitely kind of like highlights his temple. He is clean shaven now, as opposed to the last time where he had a bit of scruff. And he has a curious expression as he kind of like walks down the front steps of his home to see this carriage pulling around. But then would he recognize you, Guillaume?
I think I was disguised last time we were here.
Okay.
Wait, I might not have been actually at that point. I might have been.
But you have a very distinct smell.
I prestidigitation myself. Well, okay, perfume, perhaps. I make my
Although
own
he is
colognes.
riding around with a corpse, so.
That's true.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if Guillaume was disguised or not. I'll say he probably does recognize me. Like I probably did have to drop the disguise at some point. It's only an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, Mark, good to see you again."
It is wonderful to see you as well. Guillaume, wasn't it?
Yes, and of course you know our good friend Locke's here.
Oh, yes, Loxley, welcome back. I did not expect to see all of you again so soon. It is a pleasant surprise. Please. He kind of eyes this ride that you've shown up in.
You didn't expect to see us. Did some were rats get back here with a little boy?
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Oof, scared me for a second.
I just did not
Visible
know
sigh from this dark-haired gentleman.
I did not know that you were so fastly on their heels.
We didn't either. We thought we'd be doing more crimes, but we stopped at home invasion. Murder
Are you sure?
was
and he kind of looks at this carriage again.
Could Sylvie do like an insight check on him?
Absolutely.
Oh, nat 20. 25.
Okay. Yeah, he seems as if he is someone with a lot on their plate. And he seems like the arrival of your group was definitely not something he had expected to have to quote unquote deal with today.
Okay, so nothing like, yeah, because he seemed like a little rushed or short, and so
Right.
Sylvie just wanted to make sure that it was like that, and nothing like he's trying to like hide something, or we came back like.
No, you definitely don't get the sensation that he's necessarily hiding anything. Again, like this is a man that has had a lot of secrets. So I mean, um, there are definitely things that you are certain he is not sharing with you, but it doesn't seem to be anything nefarious about
Oh,
the child and the were rats.
okay, cool.
You please, you can take your carriage around to the side. The carriage house is waiting. The horse house, if you.
Thank you. Yes, we don't mean to impose. We will stay out of your hair. We won't be long, I don't think. We just need really to collect our companions, maybe rest the night and leave in the morning.
Of course. Mi casa es su casa. Happy to help friends in need. Were you successful?
Um,
Sort of.
yes and no. Yes and no. We did complete a version of our objective was completed.
He kind of
And
looks in
sort
the
of our
carriage
objective,
as
but in a suboptimal way.
he looks in the carriage as like some of you were like climbing out and sees the shroud wrapped body. Oh, I see. Apologies for your loss.
Do you have sanctified ground in the city here that we could bury her in?
Yes, of course. If you would like, we can. You can give me her information, and I will pass it on, and they will erect a monument to her.
All right, I'll come up with something worthy of her. Thank you. Um,
Certainly. Yes.
all right.
Please, all of you, you must be weary from the road. Uh, we will set extra places for dinner, and we will open another cask of wine. Not all of either. He like points a finger towards Chimeran.
Would he recognize me? Because I'm still in disguise.
Oh, fair point. Then no, you would not. It appears that you have acquired a few new friends along the way. He indicates Chimeran and Escanada.
Have you met the lady before? Vera will introduce her.
No. They exchange pleasantries and names, and give each other the appropriate bows.
She was one of the captured women that we told you about.
I see.
We were able to get her out safely.
Oh,
We are taking her. Eventually, we'll be taking her home. After we finish up with another errand here, we'll be taking her home. And um, she has a lot to do as she is unfortunately recently widowed too. So,
ah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I, too, recently lost my spouse. Although, to be fair, I think I lost her some time ago.
seems like you two have a lot in common.
Oh, They both kind of like mildly blush at this implication.
I think I will use that opportunity to kind of like dispel the mood a little bit. And I'm Tiago. Could you show me where the boy is? It's been nice meeting you.
Of course, he kind of looks to the rest of you that he does know, as if to like credential check this strange person that's looking for this child.
You just
Yes, we should speak to the child.
yes. Matter of fact, if you have someplace that Escanada could lie down,
Certainly,
and
yes, please. I will summon my clerics. They can take a look at her and make sure that all of you are all right.
thank you.
Absolutely. Please, this way. There are attendants that kind of like come out and they might not offer to take the carriage around to the horse house. They might be a little freaked out by that.
Yeah, Guillaume will happily take it around and like very proudly is like when he like deactivates the rune is just kind of got like that look where he's like trying to make eye contact with somebody to be like,
Oh yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
cool, right? Like, huh?
Yeah, you like ride around to the part of the estate that's all of the horse people, like all of the people that take care of the horses and breed the horses and like hook up the horses to go out. They are definitely checking out your ride, trying to figure out exactly what is going on with that. You are taken inside the grounds, which, again, this is not the first time that you've been here, but it might just be the fact that you're here during the day versus at night, but the entire atmosphere has changed here. It is now open and airy. There's a warmth here that was missing before, though none of the decorations necessarily changed. Everything seems to be cast in a different light here. The people the staff here at the house seem to be entirely changed. Their demeanor, they seem happy to be here. And he greets each one of them by name as you make your way through the estate. And he's genuinely kind of asking them how their day is going, and takes you to a series of apartments, like one wing of his home, where you'll be able to each have kind of like a room that you can stay at. And then there's a separate bathing room where you could draw a bath if you wanted. You could have hot water, perfumed water, rose oil, whatever you wanted on it, basically, is at your disposal. You're able to hang here, at least for the near future. So after he kind of like leaves you at this wing, you're left to your own devices. I imagine he might kind of take Locks off to the side, and you'll hear the two of them talking for hours on end somewhere else.
I think Guillaume would just head straight for the bath. No thought of anyone else, just try to get there first.
Chimeran's intention is to first of all check out the I don't want to keep calling him the boy, but I forgot his name.
So unfortunately, the boy has the name Silvario Luthador de Sombrania II.
Right. Cringe.
The bastard named him after himself.
We're not going to call him that. So, but I'm looking for him, and also the what was the butler's name? The butler slash nanny. Raston.
Raston Canero.
Yeah, I'd like to find Raston ASAP.
Okay. I don't think that you're there for very long before Raston and the boy show up. Another attendant basically has gone and fetched them and has led them to where you're staying.
The first thing I do is I'll like like extend my hand to Raston, and I will whisper, "It's me, Isabel."
He almost holds you at like arm length to like regard you. I dare to believe it, but yes, I suppose I can see that. You made it back safely.
We did, and you? You made it here safely, both of you?
Indeed. Thanks to the friends that you sent along with us.
That's so fortunate. I do have something to show you though, and then this is where she's going to pull out the wanted poster that she stole from back in the town, just to kind of give him a heads up on what the situation is.
Ah. I suppose that makes sense, yes. While on the road coming here, we passed the Doge returning. Your friends hid us. It was one of the most terrifying moments of my life.
He's back. When was this?
It would be 2 days ago now, at most.
She's doing some quick mental arithmetic. That would put him having arrived back in Manchilona probably like the day before we did,
So,
or the day of. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it would have been just before you came out of the mountains.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we were
Again,
lucky
you were
not
up at you were up at the vampire's castle for maybe 2-3 days.
Yeah. We'll have to keep a low profile, as low as we can for the near future. For now, we're safe.
If he returned that quickly, it can only mean that someone must have told him that the boy was missing. That means that it is very possible that someone in Aledalgo also knows.
Oh no. Yeah, Isabella's actually quite worried at this. Like everything's coming, can't go back, we can't go forward. There's just things are just bad all around. So well, there's not much we can do tonight. Tonight we're safe. We'll have a meal and then figure out what we're going to do. Let me change before I see you again.
Yes, of course.
And I think with that, turn quickly, and I'd be going to the baths as well. We're going to do a nice perfume bath because we haven't had that kind of luxury in a long time. So yeah.
Okay. So, spa day montage. Not quite a shopping day, but pretty close. Is there anything else that you want to do? Anybody else that you want to talk to while you're here in town or
before we bury Annabelle?
Yes.
Vera wants to talk to Annabelle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would imagine that there is probably some form of basically like a cellar that stays fairly cool, where they have been keeping her body until the grave is ready. But yeah, whenever you request to do so, I imagine the clerics will ask if there's anything that you need them to help with, or if they just want you, if you just want them to leave you to your conversation.
She's fine without them being there. She doesn't need them. If any
Okay.
of the group wants to come with,
Mhm.
they're more than welcome to.
I think
Um,
after his bath, Guillaume is just focused on finding Valis and flirting with her. He's like,
forgot
yeah,
you were.
go enjoy your cellar and your corpse. I'm gonna find the hot werewolf or hot were-rat and see if I can get something going.
Yeah, and after Chimeran's bath, he's actually going to be Isabel for the night. So we're going to have a nice feminine-like mask on and a dress, and we're going to spend the night with Raston and the boy. I've got to find a name for him.
In my mind, Chimeran slash Isabel slash whoever else, um, has like a trunk. You know how you always like, there's always like you in the movies, the girls that have like the single suitcase that's nothing but shoes. It's the same thing for Chimeran, but it's just masks. It's just you open the trunk and it's just like all these
Oh,
masks. Just
yes, yes, yes.
a
I
trunkload of
have
masks.
a different mask for every function.
Like a
Mhm.
file cabinet where you're just
Yep.
like, nah,
Yeah.
here we
This
go.
one. And they're all, full face masks, right? They
Yep.
cover
The
everything.
They're
same
all
one
filed
in
and they're
multiple
labeled things
colors.
like the
You gotta
going
go
to
with
the
the outfit.
outhouse mask, the eating breakfast mask, the going to the post mask.
Absolutely. And again, like, it's not uncommon in Gerdessi society for like noble people, for people of wealth, to wear masks for more than just like, events. So there's a lot of them that wear them on daily basis. It is deeply ingrained in the culture. So the fact that Chimeran does this is weird to us, but is definitely not as out of place as it might ordinarily seem. But yeah. Okay. So let's tackle this scene first. I know that this should be fairly quick because there's 5 questions that you get.
Yeah, and she might not even, I mean, um yeah, she's got only got like, well, she doesn't have a lot that she wants to ask.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, the clerics kind of wrap up what they're doing, and then they kind of leave you here in this kind of little crypt.
and refresh my memory because vampire mythology, I get confused. How did we say you have to be bit? Is it the whole have to be bit, drink the blood, get buried kind of thing for vampires?
Yeah,
In
that's what we
this,
know.
that's what we know,
As far
right?
as we know that not everything we've read is exactly accurate based on what we've seen. Um, but we like generally it seems that uh they have to die of the drinking effect. Um, yeah,
Right.
which I don't did she? She didn't get
Mm-mm.
drunk to death.
No, she died in like one of the fireballs or something in the.
I
Okay,
think it
good.
was Spirit Guardians.
That's what it was. It was the spirit guardians that killed
Oh,
her.
whoops.
No, it was one of the Iron Mask clerics.
Yeah.
Spirit Guardians. Yeah, it was like ghosts like coming out of the floors and the walls and shit. Like character.
Okay, that feels better than it being a fireball that I cast.
No, I don't think so. But who knows? If only we recorded it.
She's equally dead either way, I guess.
True.
So it doesn't super.
What brand of dead is she? Speaking of brand, she does, in fact, bear the brand that Chimeran gave her. Just to rub some salt in that wound there for Karen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Vera kind of just sits down there quietly, and I think for a little bit it kind of takes her a bit to work up to this one. She's cast this spell a couple times now, and she usually just is like, whatever, casts it, talks to him, and is done, and they get her the information she wants or that she's trying to get or whatever, and she moves on. It's irrelevant. Like, Vera has dealt in information for her entire life. This is her lifeblood, is secrets and information, but this one is just different. This one is harder for her to do, and so she sits down there for probably quite a few minutes before she actually finally kind of takes a deep breath and begins to cast the spell, waiting until she gets that kind of the signal that the spell has done its work on Annabelle's corpse.
Yeah, her
And
corpse animates reluctantly is probably a good way to describe it. And you can tell that your magic has taken root.
She kind of looks at the the corpse before her, and it's Annabelle, and it's got like movement to it, but it's not her, and she kind of chokes up a little bit and says her name, and she just, Annabelle, I need to ask you some questions. Do you do you understand that you are dead?
Her eyes remain clouded over, and her mouth just kind of hangs agape. And there's no facial expression, there's no emotion, there's no inflection behind the voice when she answers, and she simply emits, more like, again, like an exhale of breath. Yes.
Annabelle, I need to know, did you ever drink the blood of the vampires that came to feed on you, that had captured you?
No.
Okay, that's a no. I need you to tell me, who was the father of your child?
I do not know.
This is so silly, but what were you going to name your child?
Carmela.
And this one, just because we have the extra question, and it's all that Vera really wanted to ask her, was, um, is there anything else that you want to tell me before you pass?
Um, Man, what a great question.
You said the name was Carmela?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Man, I don't know. Um, she says, "Do not let me rise."
You're breaking up. I can't hear you, Jeremy.
She says, "Do not let me rise." Then the magic releases her, and as she does so, and you've done this before, and you've noticed, like as it's finished, there's a relaxation to the body. You actually notice just before the magic fades from her, you actually see chains coming up from the table that she's on and like wrapping around her, and it's barely visible, like spectral, translucent, and they yank her back to the table. And for a second, you think you see like the edges of her like pass through the table.
Um, I would like to. Oh man, this is like not. I should have had Guillaume down here with me. Damn it! When doing magic things, take the magic man. Um, I would like to roll an Arcana check to see if Vera, like, can figure out what it is somehow.
Okay, sure.
I'm not really that great at it. This is not her forte, but that is a 10.
Okay. Um, it's hard to know exactly the meaning or like the reasoning or why exactly, maybe even what the magic that you're seeing is, but there is a familiarity to what you just saw. You've seen another being bound with such chains very recently. Very, very recently has been on your mind lately.
With that, she'll kind of just shake her head when once she catches that and realizes it, and she'll take the back of her hand and kind of wipe a tear away, and um she'll just look down at Annabelle on the table again, and I'm so sorry I failed you. And then she'll just kind of straighten up, and this kind of just almost this mask just goes on, and she just kind of straightens up and turns away from the body of her friend, and she just heads upstairs to where the clerics are. She will look at the clerics, and um you can bury her now. I've Her headstone need only say Annabelle and just the word beloved. And then um
And the child?
the, the child.
The one in her womb.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the other child that was brought here, and I got very confused very fast because
Like, no, we don't need to bury him. He's healthy.
yeah, that Kenya got super
think-
confused on
I think
that.
that's gonna upset one of our party members.
Yeah,
We
I was
tried.
like, what?
Sorry, they were having a sale. And it was a 2-for-1, so you drew the short straw, kiddo.
Um, the child's name was to be Carmela. You could put Annabelle, beloved, and just put them both. Just do Annabelle and Carmela. Beloved. And that's fine. But I
Very
need
well.
you to do something for me. And it's not going to be pretty. I need you to, you're not a fool. You know what we've been dealing with. What goes on in those mountains.
They kind of exchange a look with each other. Yes.
I need you to, I need you to ensure that she doesn't rise.
They both nod.
You saw the marks on her wrists and her neck.
It will be taken care of.
Okay. Thank you. And she'll just kind of nod to both of them and turn around and wander off to find the rest of the group.
Okay. Chimeran. Isabel, I should say.
Isabel, yes.
You find Rascon and Salvario. Probably where that picture was taken. You know, kind of a beautiful little like courtyard with a garden off to the side and a fountain in the middle. Salvario is kind of balancing his way kind of on the edge of the fountain, kind of walking the circumference of it as best he can, and Rascon is trying to keep up with him, though hobbling on his cane definitely is not as fast as the child is going. And he's kind of urging him to practice caution.
I think she'll come up. She kind of comes up behind Rascon as he's like trying to hobble after him. And he is so much like his father.
Rascon kind of looks at you and then looks back at the boy. He
His
kind of
real
shakes his
father.
head. Ah,
She's like his real father.
I see. Well, that is hopefully a good thing. He's less like the man who called himself his father.
His father was a great man. And there's like this like nostalgia in her voice as she's thinking about that, which she then quickly kind of douses and looks to Rascon. And you are well?
I am recovering. The journey on the road was not an easy one, nor a stressless one. But I must admit that here in the home of our host, I feel safer. And there's no small amount of comfort here.
I'm glad. And I think she would turn at that, watching the antics of the boy on the, what did you say? He was going around on
On the rim of the fountain.
the rim of the fountain.
Mm-hmm.
She would just watch him for a little bit, waiting for him to maybe notice that she's there once he's like running around a little bit.
It takes him a moment, but he does eventually. Like as he kind of like rounds the other side of the fountain and starts to make his way back. In the instant that he sees you, he falters, almost slipping, and Raston kind of like starts after him, and then kind of like stops himself and looks at you almost apologetically. And then the boy kind of recovers, and then he hops down off of the fountain and makes his way over towards where you are, but he stands on the far side of Raston from you, kind of like almost looking around him.
Yeah, she won't try to close that distance at this moment yet, but she does kind of like squat down so that they're a little bit more on eye level. Maybe she's now a little bit lower than he is. I'm glad you made it here safely. Do you like it here?
He nods. They're very nice here.
They are. And they've been treating you well?
He kind of looks up at Raston for just a second and then nods. I've had sweets every night this week.
She just chuckles. I see. You haven't been too hard on the hosts here, have you?
He kind of shakes his head. I don't think so. You went into the mountains.
We did, yes.
Where the monsters are.
Yes. We had some people we needed to save.
Did you save them?
Not all of them. But we did manage to save one.
So you are a hero.
I don't feel like one, but I'm just glad we could help a little.
But you fought the monsters?
We did.
With swords?
Well, yes, actually.
He kind of looks and realizes that you're not wearing a sword, and he
Not
seems a little disappointed.
Yeah, I think too, because Isabel went to pull it out to show to show him, and realizing, oh yeah, I'm dressed in a dress. So don't have it on me right now. Maybe I can show it to you later.
Yes, please.
I have one question. Maybe a favor to ask you.
Again, he almost like checks with Raston first, who just kind of gives him like a little bit of a nod.
The name Salvario doesn't suit you. Can I give you another?
He kind of looks like he's really thinking about this. He kind of shrugs. I've never really liked Silvario because it was my father's name, and I don't really like my father.
Yeah, the name doesn't suit you.
I don't know what else I would be called. I know. The Highwayman.
That name is kind of taken by someone already.
Oh,
How about Roberto Joaquin?
Roberto Joaquin. He kind of shrugs. Okay. It sounds like a good name to me.
Isabella's got the biggest smile when he says that. Very good. Roberto, can we go play?
He kind of again looks at Rascon, who kind of looks to you, and then looks to him, and he says, as I told you, she is your real mother. You will be safe. And he kind of looks down to you, and he nods, and then will run off in whatever direction that you've indicated.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe there's like this rack of, I don't know, like wooden swords for like training or something that's nearby. And I think she'd indicate that. We go, we'll do some sword play.
Okay. He has definitely had some training. Even for being a boy as young as he is, you can tell that he has already been tutored in some sword play. Mainly, foundational stuff, footwork, how to hold the blade, all that kind of stuff. But he's enthusiastic about it.
I think there'd be the compliments would be issued as he does, some of the training. Like she'd be pleasantly surprised and would let him know such thing that she is like, oh, you're good at this, that kind of thing.
And he's absolutely like leaning into it. He's clashing blades with you, and he's saying, "I'm the first sword of Aledalgo," and he's dancing around, jumping on top of everything he can find, and
oh, wonderful, yes. Yeah, I can imagine them playing like she pretended to be like the villain at one point, and he's the hero, and he can vanquish her. That kind of, like, oh, you got me. That kind of, as he. It's gonna be so much fun. So much fun.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Is there anything else that you want to say or do while you're here? I imagine we'll have a funeral. For Annabelle. At the very least. Okay.
I think at some point we would have to talk about as a group what our next steps are. Whether we want to do that now or we want to wait until Matt is with us, or how would you guys like to do that?
Matt could always add his thoughts in chat. He said he was going to watch the video, so once he does that, I'm sure he'll be able to add any additional thoughts that he has if you want.
I mean, my initial thought is to go after the Doge, like our original plan. Since he is back here, he will be coming after us. We have a target on our back, and so I think my thought is we should get ahead of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree, and I think like that was our plan originally. We just happened to not be able to execute, and he's still just such a douche canoe. I want him dead. Um, so yeah, I think I'm fine with going after him.
Chimeran absolutely hates this plan, doesn't like it at all, wants to go the other way. But Karen absolutely is for it. So
Yeah, we
I
gotta
think there's
kill
also
one big bad guy while we're
and
here.
it seems like if you're running the town that is right next to like the vampire castle and he's probably somehow complicit in it,
he's gotta
it would be
go.
it would be good to get like deal a blow to them and maybe like
Mhm.
put in somebody in Menchalona who will try to fight back and maybe make it so that the people there are not just
Just cattle.
open season.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, like
absolutely. I mean, he's going to come after myself and the boy nonstop. So got to take him out.
also we'd be removing the vampire's potential food source by getting rid
Yes.
of this town. So that would be a huge blow to them, I think, too.
Okay. So I think we basically have dinner and have that conversation, and I mean at some point it would be a question to the highwaymen of this is a lot to ask, but we're wondering if uh Lady Escanada and the young boy and his gentleman may stay with you for a few more days while we clear up some other loose ends.
Um, he says, "Of course, they are welcome as long as is needed. Um, I would rather that than them possibly be in danger somewhere."
And I
Your
do believe, if you don't mind, we'd like to take um, the same group of your people with us that we did before.
I will ask them, but I cannot imagine that they would have a problem. They tend to prefer danger. Though I heard that Manchalona is in very poor shape. Worse than I had heard before.
It's it is quite depressing.
Hmm. Very well.
But clearing that up is one of our goals here.
Well, if there is anything else that I can do to help, please just ask.
All right then.
Okay.
So, how's Guillaume's flirting with the were-rat going?
Oh
I'm curious.
yeah. Guillaume. I've got, what is her name again? Ballas. So I imagine that you find Valis in what passes as like the public drinking house here in Alta Venania, and she has been cleaning up at games of chance. So she's got like a healthy stack of coins kind of in front of her, and you can see as you approach that even though the dagger on her belt is still in its sheath, that her hand never strays very far from it.
Mind if I play around?
Well, you certainly have enough coin to lose.
Eh, maybe not as much as before, but I've got a little bit on me.
Then please pull up a chair.
Yeah, he'll do so. Order he'll like kind of just take a look at what she's drinking and order two of them. Um, like slide one across to her when it arrives. All right, what's the game?
The game is Liar's Bluff.
Ah, good. One of my favorites.
Excellent. That means you can go first.
Very well. All right, what is Liar's Bluff and how does it work?
So we don't have to get into the
Yeah.
semantics of it. But essentially, it involves rolling a number of dice and increasingly saying what it is that you're hiding under your
Okay,
cup.
kind of like it's like Liar's Dice type game.
Very much so. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, do you have proficiency with tool or gaming?
Oh, I think I actually
Dice?
might. I feel like I might. Let me double check. I'm worried that I picked cards. Card proficiency.
Oh,
So yeah, I'll say like I tend to be more of a card player, but dice games, they're fun. I like any sort of chance.
maybe if things go in your favor, maybe we can play cards next.
Sounds good.
Okay, so go ahead and roll a probably a charisma check, since this is a game largely about bluffing.
Performance, perhaps?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Awesome, because I'm not very charismatic. I'm okay in charisma, but I rolled pretty well. That's a 22.
Whew, okay. So yes, you she's very good. She is very convincing, and it is hard to read when she is lying. But you have you have a knack at this game, and you absolutely end up winning like probably close to half of the pile that she had sitting in front of her before she finally puts up her hands. Very well. Obviously, my luck has run out.
Fair enough. Well, I feel as if I owe you perhaps several more rounds of drinks and then maybe a bottle of wine, a fire, some conversation.
She kind of like tips her hat up and kind of regards you through kind of heavy eyelids, a little, you guys have been drinking for a while. Are you trying to get me drunk?
No, that's not necessary. I am trying to get you into bed. I thought that part was pretty clear. But drunk is optional. I hope you don't need it to be interested, but I mean, if that's what it takes, I suppose you're welcome.
Hardly. But it also never hurts.
Then let's get drunk.
Excellent.
And he'll like start like just throwing. Basically, he's gonna spend like all the money he just won on like food and drink.
Booze.
He'll even like buy a round for the people that were like watching the game.
Absolutely. Okay. So I imagine that the night goes very well for Guillaume. And for anybody who is still awake later in the evening in the wing of the Marquise's house where you're staying the night, I would imagine that there is drunken raucous that can be heard coming from Guillaume's room.
You guys all very clearly hear a very drunken retelling, reenactment almost of the duel, which she was present for, I think. But at that point of drunkenness, I think he probably goes for it anyway.
Perfect. Okay. So I think we should at least take a moment for Annabelle's funeral. It feels like an appropriate thing to do. I imagine that Gerdessi custom is probably a lot of above ground like mausoleums and caskets and what is that called? A box, basically, that kind of like contains a casket above ground. Completely and totally blanking on the word for that.
Sarcophagus?
Sarcophagus. Thank you. So yeah, a lot of mausoleums and sarcophagi with a lot of kind of elaborate stonework and things like that. Especially for those that can afford it, which since it's being paid for by the Lord of the Land, it certainly is better than a pauper's burial that she would probably have received elsewhere. And I think, again, the highwayman is there. We see Roberto and Raston as well, if they were told about it. Yeah, is there anything that anybody wants to say about how their character is dressed, or what you're doing, or words that you wish to say while she is laid to rest?
I imagine like a manor house like the Marquesas is going to have some like wardrobes, like clothing. And Guillaume will definitely like ask permission, but then go hunting for something that's appropriate, something in dark colors and black that more or less fits him.
Is this the next day or is this the same evening?
It would probably be the same evening, unless there was a reason to hold off.
So it's pre-drunk shenanigans.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably before dark, I would imagine. Okay.
Vera will probably head to a small like a small tailor seamstress in the town that they're in, and she would have something very, very simple made, just out of like a flat black. The only thing that she would wear that would be considered like decorative or kind of outlandish or something would be that she'll have that big Orion's diamond thing that she has from her mother on the necklace. She'll actually have that on the outside. Otherwise, the outfit that she's wearing is pretty much just a very simple, straight, plain dress, long sleeves, all the way up to the neck. Like everything's very, very somber and very simple. And in the off chance that Sylvie does say something about the attire, she would simply state, I wouldn't want to bother such talent with something so simple and beneath you.
No, I think actually Sylvie probably wears something really plain too.
Okay.
It's plain, dark. I think for her, when I create clothes, it is to be a celebration of me and my work. And that is neither the time nor the place for this. We need to remember something different, have our minds focused elsewhere.
Okay. And again, of course, this is still Gerdes after all. So it's still, black brocade on black silk, on black fabric.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like
It's
But
still
simple.
It's simple.
Simple by Gerdessi's terms.
yeah.
Right.
Simple
Chimeran
Absolutely.
as in
comes
it
back.
doesn't have 5,000 hand-stitched beads put onto it.
There's one color, and that's it.
Not imbued with magic this time.
Chimeran doesn't quite do the whole black thing, but it is a very, very, very dark, dark, dark navy blue. So it's almost black. But yeah, it's the vest on shirt on everything. Yeah. Definitely in Chimeran guise for the funeral, sword by my side so that Roberto show Roberto afterwards. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't take his eyes off of it.
I love the fact that Chimeran is just wandering around the highwayman's estate, just in all these different, like, forms. And it's just this random dude that's walking all over the place, and then this woman, and then another dude. And we're all just like, man, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's good.
Marquise is like, how many people did you actually bring in that carriage?
It's just like a clown car. Okay. It is a somber occasion, but investitures are spoken. The prayers are said to hopefully put Annabelle to rest. Vera, throughout the entire ceremony, the ritual performed, every time they move her body from one stage of the burial to the next, whenever they go to kind of like place her in, you swear that you hear the sound of, like, a distant sound of chains being rattled.
Vera will, well, let's see. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. Vera will kind of, at one point, probably she would, oh, I don't know. She would probably lean over to Guillaume, and she would say to him, "Did you hear that?"
Uh, dogs barking. I think that there must be dogs in there's sort of I think I saw like a farmhouse on the way in or something, ranch or something.
That's probably what I heard. Yes. Okay.
I mean, Vera, you can tell me. Is that not what you're talking about? You're giving me that face like that's not what you were talking about.
No, I thought I heard chains or something, but it must have been from dogs somewhere. It makes sense.
Wait, when did you hear this?
Just now while we were standing out here. It just seemed odd.
Would that be something that I would have any like magical knowledge of, Jeremy, of like what that could signify, or at least like around a corpse or having to do with vampires?
You could make a religion roll.
Okay, then I will. That's not one of my things, but I am very intelligent, and it's an intelligence skill,
Modest, too.
so I feel good about that. All right, come on. Oh, that's a 19 on the die plus 5.
Holy
24.
shit. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes a certain sense. You when Vera mentions hearing the sound of rattling chains, you hear that kind of in the back of your brain, a memory. And for just a moment, you relive um, a memory, a part of a memory of a being that you once took the point of view of.
Yep. Yep. Fuck. I think Guillaume goes like white as a sheet, feeling that again. Just like, oh God. Wait, Vera. I don't know. Should we?
Are you okay? You,
The
Guillaume,
chains.
you're
The chain. No, the chains. When I read the book, the chains.
right.
You're hearing
Yes.
them now. I'm putting things together in my head. It's if that if Annabelle is the vessel, or her child is the vessel, and that thing that I saw in the book, if that's what's filling the vessel, could the chains be connected? That thing is chained, but it's I I don't know what we need to do, but I'm worried that that child might already be inhabited. The the dead child inside of her.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting to hear. Um, how would we like to go about figuring this out?
I have no idea. Everything I think of is absolutely horrible and unacceptable. Uh, it's not like we could. I mean, even if it is, oh God, what did you told us what she said when you asked her your speak with dead questions?
Um, she definitely would have told you guys that she said she never drank of the vampire blood, that she didn't know who the father. She probably would have told you the questions, yeah, because none of them's really. And she would have absolutely said that she specifically asked to not be allowed to rise.
I know you want to bury your friend, but I'm wondering if perhaps we should dispose of the body in a more permanent way.
As the clerics are like literally putting like the lid on the sarcophagus and like finishing up the rites.
Perhaps we lower her into the ground, and we tell the clerics that we'll finish the burying procedure, burn the coffin, and bury it. Let's. She'll still have a burial in a cemetery and consecrated ground, and that counts for something. She'll be by her headstone.
She'll kind of get in, kind of close to Guillaume and lower her voice down and Guillaume, when when my speak with dead spell ended, I swear I saw chains grab her corpse and pull it back down to the ground as it lost movement.
Oh, Vera, I'm so sorry that as far as I know, that probably means that her soul is already captured. I We can hope that burning the vessel will release it, or at least make her less interesting to whatever's holding her, but I I worry for her even beyond.
I I okay. Yeah, why don't you see if you can clear the clerics out and we'll burn the body then?
Very well. Excuse me, my good sirs. We much appreciate your consecration, your last rites, all of that. We were wondering, could we have a little time alone with to say our respects in private, and we'll move the dirt. We'll cover her up.
I kind of look to one another and then nod. Yes. Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then honestly, just wait until they seem like they're real gone, and then I think like kind of turn to everyone like, okay, so heads up, gonna do something. I I don't really want to fireball in a graveyard. So, because I don't firebolt doesn't set stuff on fire though, does it?
I mean, we could just pour oil on it and light it
Yeah,
on fire.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, who uses common methods of burning things?
I'm
You
sorry,
either
it's sort of
fireball it or nothing.
I mean,
it's
those
sort
of
of
us without magic have to
it's
come
one
up
of
with.
those when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail situations. I apologize. Yes, oil. We do have some oil.
We didn't ask how big the grave is. We said cast fireball.
Yeah, and I think I'll just I'm hesitant to make Vera be the one to do it, and don't really feel like asking either Sylvie or Chimeran in their fragile
Chimeran
states.
Chimeran actually steps up to say, "Let me light the torch."
Very well. Um, yeah, so we'll just douse the coffin in oil and let
Yeah, and I
Chimeran light the torch.
yeah, and I think he lights the torch, and before he drops it in, he's just looking down, and you can see that he's saying something in his head because he takes a moment. Um, and then once that seems to be done, he just says, "I'm so sorry," and then drops the torch in and lets it burn.
It ignites and burns with black smoke that is not pleasant to be around. There might be a few, raised eyebrows or people who kind of come by to kind of see what exactly is creating this column of smoke out of the graveyard. But they leave you to your business. And before long, Annabelle in her casket are charred remains. Nothing is left. And you are
I'm
able
gonna
to
ask
finish.
it
Go ahead.
because I have to. As we're watching this burn, does Vera see anything unusual in the flames, in the smoke, in the light, anything?
You initially hear the sound of rattling chains when the blaze first catches, but that sound quickly kind of like dies down and fades away, and you don't hear anything towards the end. All right, and I think that's where we're going to end tonight's session. Okay. Wow, that was a heavy session, y'all. It was good though. It was really good to get back to this. I've missed this game. I've missed all of you.
Mhm.
I missed where we left this story, so I'm really happy to
Yes.
have the chance to pick it back up and continue it. So, okay, I'm going to pass things over to my players so that they can give any parting words and say whatever they've got going on, where you can find them on the internet, et cetera, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a night and get out of here. So we're going to start in reverse order with Karen.
It was so good to get back into this game. It's been a minute and a little rough trying to remember what we'd all done. But I love how we're like just we get right back into it again. Like it's just so much fun, and I love these characters so much, and it's so great to play with everyone. Cannot wait for the next session. Um, yeah, some bad shit's happening, so it's gonna be fun. All right, Guillaume, you can take it on.
Yeah, it's always such a blast. It's funny how like this is the first game I've played in maybe ever where like every time, even after a month or 2 months, it's like, let me put this old jacket back on and like, yep, that's exactly, hey, there's $5 in the pocket. Like every time, and it's the best. This is almost certainly my favorite D&D character I've ever played, and it's shockingly easy to slip into. Uh, and I'm like, yeah, I can be an arrogant prick. Um, doesn't say anything about me as a person, but it was a blast of a game. It always is, and I'm super excited to have the whole gang back together next time and figure out how to violently murder Karen's character's ex. And I will pass it to M.
Yeah, echoing what everyone else said. Always good to get back into this game and to play and to get back into the mystery. And yeah, super pumped to go. I think that'll be very cathartic. So I'm excited to do to go after the Doge. So yeah, awesome. Thanks again. Always a blast to play with you all. So I will pass it lastly to Kenya.
Yeah, like Em said, just ditto on everything everyone else is saying. It's these types of sessions where they're very somber and heavy like this are very difficult for me as Vera because Vera is supposed to be this very sassy, confident, like kind of um headstrong and cocksure kind of lady and bantery and witty with Guillaume a lot and stuff, and a lot of times those moments don't feel right in these situations. So it's a very interesting to kind of be in that Vera mind space and be like, I am completely uncomfortable with this situation and I do not know how to move forward. But thankfully, Guillaume's magical words of wisdom always seem to guide our group somewhere. Um, but I am super excited to go after the Doge. Super excited. I am anticipating much rejoicing when we free our friend from their prison. So that'll be nice. But
Yeah,
I'm going to swing it back to Jeremy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm very happy that y'all are going back to face the Doge because I'm excited for that encounter.
That frightens me immensely.
It'll be fine. Mostly. No, this is again, like I really, really love the fact that all of you have embraced this space with your characters and this story in our game where you're all comfortable with dealing with the uncomfortableness that your characters find themselves in and the things that are happening to them and exploring those things from the point of view of a fantasy character, a hero. I really like that we have struck that chord with this game, that there's a darkness to this, because in my opinion, if you have something like an ancient vampire as an antagonist, and the story isn't dark enough, then it just doesn't play right, if that makes sense. So I'm glad that this game has that kind of emotional weight. I think that that's going to be very rewarding. I mean, it already has been, but I think it's going to be very, very rewarding once we finally reach the conclusion of the story. I'm really hoping for that, at least. So thank you for being the kinds of players that are always willing to go there, even whenever we're talking about killing babies and, you know, all kinds of really dark, nasty shit. And you always do it with humor and aplomb whenever it's appropriate. Like, there's a good balance to this game. So I very much appreciate that. It's definitely the tone I was going for. So, what else? Yes, thank you for everyone who tuned in this evening. It is deeply appreciated that you're here, that you come here and that you watch these games for entertainment. That I don't know, it makes me so happy. It elates me to no end to know that there are people that find entertainment with us goofing off and telling a story and rolling dice sometimes. So yeah, if you enjoyed the content, then do all the stuff that the YouTube algorithm likes to see. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the link around, talk about it with your friends, etc., etc. And then yeah, we'll be back next time with the next session of Evermore le Masquerade. Remember, kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to someone, and it can make all of the difference in the world. You don't know. You don't know what somebody else is going through. So lead with kindness, unless they're a Nazi, and then punch them in the fucking nose. Yeah. All right. I think that's all that we have. So until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.